Welcome to the Innovia Conversation. I'm your host, Steve Waltz, and
I'm Jeff Progolski.
Is that you? Is that really you, Jeff?
It is. I do have a cold. I will disclose that, but yes, it's me.
Well, it's Steve and Jeff. We're back for our next episode of the Innovia Conversation. We're excited to be coming back again. And, Jeff, what are we going to be talking about today?
Let's see. How about artificial intelligence?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I can even spell that.
Awesome.
So what is artificial intelligence, I guess?
Let's see. I think the definition that I'm most comfortable with is it is intelligence that is demonstrated by a machine. How's that sound? So like the opposite of which. So I'm going to quiz you. What is the opposite of artificial intelligence?
Well, that's a tough question. Known intelligence?
Actually, pretty close. It's natural intelligence. Okay. So natural intelligence, something like an Ohio State football fan would be lacking.
I agree with that.
We're just teasing. Mostly so natural intelligence displayed by humans or other animals, and artificial intelligence is something. So a term that goes hand in hand with. Actually, I like this. I'm going to be like quizzing you on this stuff. So what's a term that goes hand in hand with artificial intelligence?
Machine learning.
Oh man, that's like you are good, Steve. You are not
I pay attention every once in a while.
You're not just a pretty face. So yeah, machine learning is sometimes used instead of artificial intelligence. They're both related, and artificial intelligence relies on machine learning to sort of make some predictive analysis on data and sort of to do things automatically is a good way to think about it. Artificial intelligence can analyze data and do more than just report back. It can actually give you some proactive things to do with the data. And I guess why it appeals to me is it's certainly been part of Microsoft's vision for technology, not just in the ERP business software field, but sort of across their platform, finding ways for artificial intelligence and machine learning to make our lives better, whether it means, making our business more efficient or more profitable, or make things easier and games more fun, our world more comfortable, all that kind of stuff. I was at the Microsoft Inspire conference, the rebranded worldwide partner conference in Las Vegas last summer, and there I heard Satya Nadella speak about the importance of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and as the vision that Microsoft has for these technologies, how important they're going to become in our everyday lives, as well as our business world. That it was very important that we don't use these technologies to amplify bias and just some really like high level thinking around artificial intelligence. And it got me thinking more about it. I did some follow up reading and on a couple books. And so it's really cool stuff. And you may be asking yourself, Steve, on this Innovia Conversation podcast, why do we care about artificial intelligence? Are you asking yourself that, Steve?
No.
Oh, you're not. Okay, great. Well, so I think like the reason that it's important is that in Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, guess what's included at no extra charge?
Would that be chart of accounts?
Well, that is included, but that's not why we're talking about artificial intelligence. You are not playing along well, Steve. So
what you're saying is that it's included?
It is, yeah. And I think like right now, there is, it's included in some kind of maybe basic ways. But I think it's really cool that an ERP system, that you can, that isn't terribly expensive, includes this, really powerful technology behind the scenes, and the ways that it is included is sort of interesting. Like as I think about the application, as I go through some of the different functional areas of it, the places where artificial intelligence is included is. Do you have any of these answers, Steve? Do you know any of these?
A, B, C, D, or E? Is that what we're talking about, or are we talking about artificial intelligence and how you can pull it out of your ERP system?
Yeah. Well, I actually, it's rude to answer a question with a question. So I'm not even going to, and I don't even know how to answer yours. So I'm just going to go ahead and answer my own question, which probably is even more rude. But
and I'm probably with you, but I'll let you go ahead and answer it.
Okay. So first of all, one of the first areas that it is included in is the item forecasting. So, if you are using Business Central and you've got inventory, you can connect Business Central to the Cortana intelligence service, and it will start to take inventory readings. You need five historical periods to reference for Cortana to start building this. But you can configure stock out warnings and actually get some artificial intelligence going on your inventory, and you can turn that on an item by item basis. So obviously different types of items that are maybe more seasonal or have much higher turnover, you can start to get some insights into that. So that's one area that artificial intelligence is baked right into Business Central. Another area is something that's really near and dear to me, the image analyzer. So when you're importing images of your items or of your contacts, again, you can connect through through Azure machine learning to the Cortana intelligence engine, and Microsoft will run a little bit of. They can identify approximate ages of contacts that you're importing based on age. It's actually not terribly important, but I think it's really cool. So I always like talking about that when I talk about Business Central, as well as attributes that are assigned to the items that you're bringing in. So as you're adding items, you can tell the system if this is a blue item, if you're keeping track of attributes like color, or if it's a piece of furniture maybe. But if you're importing hundreds or thousands of photos to add to item cards, it's nice to have this artificial intelligence image analyzer running in the background. So that's two places. Trying to think of there's actually a third place, and this would never apply to you because you're such a fine, upstanding citizen. But actually, in terms of their collection engine, there is a late payment prediction extension that you can add. It is not enabled by default in Business Central, but you can turn that on, and it will actually help form a more accurate cash flow forecast for you, as well as sort of alerting you to to customers that are probably going to pay you a little later than the terms that you have defined for them, so that you can have whoever it is in your organization responsible for collections stay on top of that and sort of, do it proactively rather than waiting until they get behind and then start to chase it. So those are some kind of cool, some kind of cool things that are just included in Business Central that either just need to be enabled, but don't cost you anything or don't require any custom development to do. So those are, so I think those are pretty cool. What do you think about that, Steve?
I think that's very cool. And, when you talked about like the predictive analysis, if somebody's going to pay you late. Now, I've heard through Microsoft, is that something that has to be replicated like through Intelligent Edge to the cloud? Or is that something, as Microsoft is pushing to this cloud first, mobile first, Internet of Things model, can they do that where it's on premise, or does that have to be up in the cloud where they can do that predictive type analysis, I guess is my question.
Let's see. Actually, in theory, you can do it both places. It does. It's a little easier when it exists on when you're running Business Central on Microsoft's SaaS software as a service platform. But essentially, what's involved is granting access to your database. I should say, granting access to your database for the Cortana intelligence engine. So Cortana can analyze data wherever it exists, having it on the Intelligent Edge or in the Microsoft Cloud just makes it easier to do that. It's simply a couple button clicks and you don't have to configure anything else. But it will run its analytics if you're running BC on-prem, for instance, or if you're running Nav on-prem. Because if you remember, I think dating back to Nav 2017, the forecasting intelligence was in there, and you had to connect it to the API. You had to generate an API key in Azure Machine Learning Gallery and do a bunch of nerd stuff like that. But it wasn't terribly technical to do that. And once you did it, it just crunches the numbers on what you've got going on in your customer base.
No, I think that's really helpful because, I think a lot of the things that we get here at Innovia when we talk with our customers and, like Jeff being part of the customer engagement team, he's able to have conversations with, our customers about that. And it always seems, Jeff, like, where people are at in their ERP journey. It's like people almost tend to forget sometimes that their Nav BC has CRM in it. And it's inherent, it's already in the software. And now you have all these other tools that can really help them take a look at their data. Like we talk, like you kind of things that you talked about. It's, not only to, predict late payment but really to use it to understand how to, sell more product, right? Or sell more service. And a lot of times it seems like when I talk with prospective customers or people at events that they really don't know how to have that conversation with their partners. Is there anything that you would suggest to them on maybe, how to really reach out and say, I'm interested in all this stuff. What would be a good way to kind of frame this up and do something about it?
Great question, Steve. So I think that as partners, it's a challenge to stay ahead of the technology curve. That's something that, I think here at Innovia, we really embrace and I feel empowered as an employee to keep, going and checking this stuff out. That's an interesting question. How do you ask your partner to help you with these tools? And to be honest, tools that a lot of partners just haven't had the opportunity to play with yet or to dig into much. That, I think letting them know how important it is to you, because as you said, as it relates to sales, there's also the sales forecast. I failed to mention that lets your reps know the opportune time based on historical information in your database, when the opportune time is to close based on a customer by customer basis. So when, if everything that you typically quote a customer and they're accepting the quote 21 days on average after you send that out, the system can start to utilize that knowledge to create notifications for follow up and all that kind of stuff. I think letting your partner know that it's something that's important should certainly allow them to point you in the right direction if they don't have expertise on staff. I know that we've got a number of opportunities that exceed our expertise in terms of even some of the augmented reality, virtual reality opportunities for remote service, and we don't have we've got developers that can write code around that, but we don't have the expertise at Microsoft, so we brought Microsoft in, and I think depending on the size of the opportunity, that's something that more and more partners are going to have to become more comfortable with going forward. So we're advocating on behalf of our customers as best we can.
Awesome. Well, Jeff, I think you did a great job kind of going over what this AI, artificial intelligence, is about. And I think there's some confusion in the marketplace. Questions we get asked all the time. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, Power BI, and what's cool about it is, it's kind of the stage of the cycle. You think of how the stage of the cycle of the internet, kind of came about and where it's at now. It's, what inning are we in the ERP world, right? Because it used to be just have it run my business, do my financials, and, help me deliver my product. Now it's giving these tools to owners and to, leadership teams of companies to say, look, all this stuff is here. Let's use this to sell more stuff and increase the customer experience. So this is cool stuff, Jeff, and I appreciate all your detail on it. So
awesome. Always a pleasure. I think, one of the things I thought that you'd be jumping on all over is that one of the I think in doing research, looking at business cases for AI, really in the business to business sales market, like Salesforce automation type technology, that's stuff that AI just can really help out with, and it's something that I think our customers have a real need for, maybe in some cases unrealized need, but especially when it's business to business sales, leveraging the data that you have in your system, and especially the historical data about your customers and how they buy, being able to really tweak algorithms as they align to how your company does sales. You think back to you've got a lot more experience with CRM systems than I do, but you think back to the first time you started using CRM and what it was, and then to sort of this new frontier of what CRM could be, where not only do you have to-dos and contacting your customer and on a schedule but to actually optimize that, so you're contacting customers not just based on sort of this calendar of that's in your head or in your outlook, but based on where they are in the opportunity cycle and when you should be contacting them. It's pretty cool stuff that I think is going to lead to more sales for all of our customers.
And I think that sounds like a future podcast. Maybe we talk about that and CRM, and then because I think a lot of companies out there are, you think of the failure rate of CRM, because it's adoption and, is it set up correctly? And I think, being this kind of early in the game, I think maybe we can try to do is maybe put a playbook together on how to optimize what you just talked about and get the most out of it. So
awesome.
But Jeff, anything else you want to add to a discussion about artificial intelligence?
I guess the last point that I want to make is, in thinking about this, about artificial intelligence as it relates to specifically Business Central and ERP data, I think in my mind it makes the artificial intelligence takes and makes your data smarter, and sort of that analogy to a file that sits in the old IT world sits on a file server somewhere, and like let's use an Excel file for example, and it sits there and someone grabs it and then and they do something to it and it's checked out so no one else can see the live copy of that data that's included in that spreadsheet until that person returns it, and then they can look at it, and you've got a bunch of people, but this data is sort of stagnant and it's stored in a quote unquote dumb location, and then you compare that to like that same file that's now stored on SharePoint. And that SharePoint now that file becomes an intelligent file, sort of, because multiple people can interact with it. It's always live. There's no saving. There's no checking out. And I think in that sort of along those same lines, your data when you have data that is being interacted with, whether it's in your own database or on the intelligent cloud of Microsoft, that you can apply artificial intelligence against and machine learning against using Cortana. It means that there's a lot. That data, your company's data, is no longer just kind of dumb data that's sitting there. It's actually intelligent data that people can interact with in a number of different ways. So I will get off my AI soapbox for now until next time. And I think this could be a record for our podcast. This is like we've been going and going and going, haven't we?
Well, for those that stayed awake for your detailed description.
That hurts, Steve. That hurts, but I love it.
It was awesome, Jeff, and we appreciate it. And just for everybody to let you know that coming up on March 13th and 14th in Houston is going to be the focus for NAV and Power BI going on the same time. And then about a month after that, Jeff, we have a customer conference on April 24th and 25th. And Jeff might even be doing some sort of presentation. So if you're one of our customers, hopefully you can make it there. And then on our next podcast, we have a NAV All-Star, Jeff.
We do? Who's that?
Well, we're one of the few partners that actually have more than one.
I know.
It's going to be Holly Kutel, and she's going to be talking a little bit about her journey on how she became a NAV All-Star, and hopefully you'll be able to listen to that one. So, as always, we appreciate you taking time today to listen to it, and you can always go and check us out at Innovia.com. We also are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, and we are on LinkedIn. So if you get a chance, check out Innovia on those, and we appreciate it. And Jeff, anything else you want to add?
I've already said too much, Steve.
All right, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a good
Thanks.
rest of the day.